Welcome back, South Philly Sauce and Audacy Original, brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels, Ashlyn, Sullivan, Al Morganti, back here in studios at WIP. It's been a bit since we've been back here in studio, but we were just on the radio talking a little hockey, talking a little life.
Yeah, nice way to start 2025. Come in. I don't have a hat today. I usually wear a hat.
Oh, he's rattled.
And I got like bad hair, so it's like it's a bad thing. Not that anybody's looking at me for style tips.
Well, we were watching television and I was like, oh, her lipstick's too dark. Style advice with Al. Gotta love that.
Yep, always wear a bag on your head if you look like me.
And on the radio, you were talking about how, I believe in the 5 minutes I was with you, children should not eat vegetables.
Right.
There should be no homework.
No, homework is a bad thing. Do not, if you're a teacher, no homework. It just means you're not doing your job. You're there for a certain amount of time. You can teach that and that lesson in that amount of time. Sending kids home with homework to do your work for you is a disgrace. When you go home, it's your time. You got to go to practice, got to do this. Do you come home from work and then do homework? No.
Some do. Many do.
No, they don't. They get, unless if they're getting paid for it. Your kid ain't getting paid in the 7th grade to do that. Have them learn in the class. Like, teach better.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it's a teacher thing, though. I think it's like a problem with
Well, no, because they think that they think that you're going to learn. It's not like hockey practice. Hockey practice, you go and play better, you play better, you play better. Well, you can go to school. Well, you got one. It's like you got one coach, right? So he's going to tell you, but you got like 7 teachers. They all think you're going to give you homework. That's ridiculous. There's a limit. If your kid's doing more than 20 minutes of homework, something's wrong. Something is wrong. Just don't. You're done. You don't have to do it. I'm telling you. I'm giving you parental advice not to have them do that much homework.
And with that, that's South Philly Sauce. We'll be back next week. Just kidding. We have a lot to discuss. But the actual Flyers, the topic of this podcast.
Yes.
And very unfortunate news coming out of last game. Sam Ersson leaves that game at the end of the second period, does not come back in the third period. Kolosov goes in, plays well. The Flyers beat the San Jose Sharks, a team that they should beat. So that was all good news. What's not good news is Sam Ersson listed day-to-day as of now. Danny Briere sent out a statement. We know he won't be playing against Vegas. Kolosov's going to get the start. We don't even think he's going to back up. And we know it's a lower body injury. We don't know if it's the same groin injury that has now kept him out twice. You can only assume that it most likely is. And this is pretty unfortunate.
This is not only unfortunate, this is really bad.
Yeah.
This is bad. I mean, they were carrying 3 goaltenders. For the life of us, we couldn't figure it out. At least I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, why would you want to do this? And they kept saying, we still don't know about Ersson. It looked fine to me, but they must have known something. And his history is that, if he comes back from injury, he might injure it again. Might not come back from it that quickly. I mean, if this is a long-term thing, they're really going to struggle. You've got basically two backup goaltenders who aren't even the top of the league as backups. I mean, to be quite honest, if you offered them around the league, how many teams would take a bite of the apple with their limited time in the league? I'm not to say that they won't turn into goaltenders, but I mean, now this team won a lot last year because they had a goaltender that carried them through a certain level. They started this year. Ersson played so well. It's like, okay, you're going to go and find him. If he's out long term, and by long term, even a month.
Yeah.
I mean, you're pretty well cooked, in my opinion, in terms of making a run toward the playoffs.
Yeah, it seems that way, and sadly it does seem like, and it kind of all makes sense now. I always thought with the 3 goaltenders, it was because we knew with this groin injury, if you come back too soon, you're done for. And it has to be placed so perfectly where when he came back, I was like, all right. But we were talking about this on post-game, especially with a groin and a goaltender. It's that mentality, it's that mindset to make a crazy save and do a split knowing, oh my gosh, I have this terrible injury and come back like that.
No, you can't. I mean, you look at goaltenders. For anybody that's ever tried on goaltender pads, just trying to move around, it's incredible what they do with them. I mean, you've got the big pads, you have to move them, you have to skate like your edges have to be incredible. There was a collision that presumably is where this happened. I remember when we were doing the post, I said, I would have taken a swing at the guy because you can really get hurt as a goaltender on what happens there. And I presume that's where it happened. And I don't know if it was the same side or whatever, but there's a lot of not yellow flags. There's a lot of red flags right now about that goaltending situation.
Yes, and for all the questions about Kolosov and Fedotov and not knowing what you have, well, you're about to find out what you have, because this could be a couple of weeks. And I think that's good news if it's a couple of weeks.
Well, it would have been better, Ashlyn, if it had been, Anaheim and San Jose. But, man, look at this. It's Vegas. and then Toronto. That's pretty tough. Even I don't care if Austin Matthews is playing or not. I mean, that's still Leafs, and they can fly. I mean, this is going to be a real test. Maybe we get surprised, and both of them turn in great performances or whatever. But it's also different mentally. We saw with Ersson what it's like to go from being a backup without the high expectations, whatever you do is a plus, to having everything on your shoulders. That's a big mental difference.
It is. And now we see Sullivan against Vegas, and we'll see what happens if they're going to keep playing him or if they'll switch off with him and Fedotov. I see both sides of that because they were pretty close neck and neck in their backup competition, that maybe you play both, or do you just go Kolosov's your guy?
I would think Kolosov. I mean, the way Torts talked about him previously, that he would be the guy. Now, if you're thinking about going then to Fedotov, when's the last time we saw him? Yeah, it's been so long, and with a Christmas break, and then to come in and what a spot to be put in there.
Well, this is why when you talked about it, it's like, why is Fedotov not down getting game
playing?
Reps?
Yes, yeah, playing. It's like, okay, we'll see what happens here, but that's a perilous situation. How do you like that for a word? Perilous.
Nice.
It's a big situation.
Big.
There you
School.
Go.
Don't do homework.
I learned that at homework.
And also what was good news in that San Jose game was they won in the amount of goals they scored, and it was by committee. It was everyone contributing. They played very well against San Jose, beat a team that you were supposed to beat. Travis Konecny gets back on board, gets on the score sheet. But what's interesting is that John Tortorella did say, and Travis Konecny addressed this, that he was taken off the penalty kill, and he was very honest, saying that he felt like he wasn't playing correctly defensively. He needs to focus more on 5-on-5. And I got to think with Torts and the coaching staff, that's probably their focus, is we need him at his best 5-on-5 to not have to be worried about this as well.
Yeah, giving up chances. I mean, they'd been so aggressive on the penalty kill. That's why I really liked him there. I thought it was when the power play was struggling, like I'd rather be in the penalty kill. But it seems like they lost some of that magic too. And I think they have to get him going again and think more of a 5-on. Get your game straightened out on a 5-on-5, especially if it dovetails with the goaltending. If you feel like we're to score another goal a game just to be in them here, if that happens, you got to get him going 5-on-5. I think that's more. I do like the fact that with Konecny, though, he continues when you don't have to point a finger at him. He points the finger at himself a lot. So I think that really helps.
It does help, and it's the next wave of players that I think are keeping the Flyers somewhat quote-unquote in this, because Travis Konecny was a little silent the past couple of weeks, quote-unquote stars. Owen Tippett has been getting going, but a little inconsistent. But it's that wave of Noah Cates, a Bobby Brink, who's been playing really well. Those are the guys right now who are keeping you in this thing.
Yeah, a couple of kids from Minnesota really got some combination going, got some chemistry going, especially... I mean, Cates has been really good in the face-offs, and at the center position. He has to learn those face-offs better. I mean, I'm still surprised sometimes Coots isn't used in the face-off spots, but he was the last game. Cates has an all-around game now. The problem there, Ashlyn, is, to me, when you start, it's nice to say the third-line player or fourth-line player is playing really well. You can't do that very long. It has to be your first and second line players. Now, maybe Cates is now getting a lot of first line time. So, but you look at his game. Is he really a number one centerman? Maybe he'll develop into it. You can get by for a while there, but I don't think you can get by long term there. But he's a real honest player, and he's. I would love to talk to all of his ex-coaches, because he looks like he's a really coachable player. Let's do this better. He'll do that better. Let's now concentrate on face-offs here. And quickly, you'll see a response. He does this better. The real surprise to me is Brink.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know he was. I told him flat out, talked to him in the locker room, said, I didn't know you that fast. Because watching you previously, because it's when you talk about fast, there's quick and there's fast. I mean, he's always looked like he was kind of quick with the puck, but not. Now he's zone entries. He's fast coming in, and that's just confidence that you're taking that first step is very quick. You're confident because you're confident in your line mates. Mm-hmm. So his improved play, I think, is a result from that whole line improved play. I can get there quick because I know somebody's going to have my back, somebody's going to have my six on this side, on that side, whatever. So he really, to me, has been the biggest surprise. And physically, I mean, he's just he's a bit of a little wee thing, right? I mean, really, you look at it, he's not that big. And he'll push people away, play one-handed, come in and play much bigger than his stature.
Mm-hmm. Which is what Torts always encouraged him to do, that he was going to have to play bigger, more aggressive. And we're definitely seeing that, which has been really encouraging for Bobby Brink, because that was a guy coming into this season, you really didn't know what he was going to be in this league at that point.
And he's a much more aggressive player right now. And I even like when he's, you see in the locker room afterwards, the way they're talking and celebrating, whatever. He's right there, right in the mix. And he, for a while, when you've a team that's trying to get their bearings like the Flyers, you get a lot of guys with I always call it a JV attitude. You come in, you're on the varsity, and you kind of, give things away to the varsity guys. But now he's on, now when you're on the varsity, you're part of that. He changes and you play a different way, and that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah, it's very clear, a different Bobby Brink this season, and that leads us to lost in the sauce, which is really a couple of guys we could choose from, but I know Cam York is one guy that we just haven't seen it the past couple of weeks.
No, York come back from injury, and he had a goal, but really then sat down for a bit. Because he just wasn't, he's not forcing the play the way I think he can. He's playing better, but for this team to get where it wants to go, even in the future, not just now, but in the future, he has to be a huge part of it. And he's lacking a little bit in that right now in terms of impact play. He's getting there. He's getting better. You have to, as a defenseman, obviously defensive situations, he's much better at that now. But he's not an impact player yet. I thought on the power play even maybe be an impact player. Just starting to see a little bit of signs of it, but to me he's not been at least what I expected since he's come back.
No, and even I think he is coming back, because I even go back to not last media day, the media day before that, so 2 media days ago, sitting down with him and him saying, I want to be proven to be a strong starting defenseman in this league, a top-line defensive player.
Yeah.
And last season I was like, yeah, you've accomplished that. Check. Whereas now this year, some weeks you can say that, some weeks you can't. It's been just a little back and forth, whereas last year, and Torts talked about this, kind of he screwed himself with that because they saw the ceiling.
Yeah.
You can't routinely get there. They're like, no, we saw that 2 months ago.
And that's what they want. And they need that from him now. It's like, okay, you reach this level, now do it 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row.
Right.
And that's what we're not seeing from him.
No. And another loss in the sauce, which has really been the past 2 seasons, is Sean Couturier. You mentioned how you wanted to see him more in the faceoff. I think everyone is a little confused with his amount of ice time. It seems to dwindle every single game to the point where Ryan Poehling gets moved up in the lineup and Coots goes down to a 4th-line centerman. And it always seems like with Torts and Coots, it's this back and forth, pulling the rope of ice time and what his contribution is to the team. I think everyone outside of or the Flyers training facility feels like Cooch to have a bigger role on this team.
Yeah, he's. It's funny because for a couple of years, more than a couple of years, anybody that was struggling would be put on Couturier's line to get better. Mm-hmm. And this is a hard change if you're Couturier, especially with a letter on your sweater, that you're not that guy anymore for people to get better with. Like, in other words, if Brink was struggling, let's put him with Coots. It'll get his game getter. And now Coots is being dropped at times because Cates, it's got to be tough when you're a veteran like that, when you're captain, and all of a sudden Cates comes in and big face-offs late in the game, put this line out. He's responded well to it previously. I mean, as you go through your career, you're not going to get the same, chunk of ice time at times. But I do, usually I look at what Torts is doing and go, I can see this, but I think in this locker room, I still think Couturier needs a bigger portion of important ice time late in the game.
Yeah, when it matters most. I mean, that's to wear that letter. It's, when the game was on the line, he's out there, and it hasn't been like that at all. Yeah,
and there's been mistakes. I mean, and the game, is fast, and he can't. He's well back from injury now, so we've gone through all of that. So I think it's just, Tortorella doesn't give much margin for error to veteran players. He'll live with, as we say, Michkov can do this and do this, but if you're going to have that, you cannot. That's why Konecny is so important to him. Those guys can't have the slippage in their game because they're supposed to be making up for the mistakes that the younger guys are making.
Yes, so a lot to be made of these next couple of games. This is a very long road trip for the Flyers. They have 2 games remaining, Vegas and then Toronto, and a home against Toronto. So these are some tough opponents coming up here. Vegas They are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NHL. They are high-powered offense. No secret, the Flyers are going to have to they're going to have to score some goals tonight.
They are, and it's going to be with Vegas. Is that the model for them is every year we're in it to win it. Since they've been since they've conception.
Created.
Yeah, they're right there. They're in it to win it. So that's going to be tough, and it's always tough with Leafs. Absolutely.
Yes. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for tuning in.
Do your homework.
Do your homework
For 20 minutes. That's it.
Actually, you said don't do homework.
Well, 20 minutes limit. Yeah. While you read, if you finish the peanut butter sandwich before your homework, stop.
And eat your vegetables, children. Thanks for tuning in to South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original, brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. We'll see you early next week. What day is it?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Goodbye.